Two brothers are shown in the opening scene of this film. Walter was the older brother, and Danny was the younger. They were always fighting. They were also untrustworthy with their elder sister. Their father is divorced. Those siblings live with him. Their father is required to leave the house for the sake of some work. He instructs his daughter to look after her two brothers. Their father was terrified because they constantly fought. They may harm themselves or their house. Danny makes his brother Walter play with him because he is bored. Walter, on the other hand, ignores him. Danny starts playing with the ball alone. His ball strikes Walter's face while he is playing. The fight starts again as a result of it. Danny manages to hide in their house's small attic lift. Walter searched him and then escorted him to the basement. Danny discovers a board game called Zathura while exploring the basement. He comes upstairs while taking it and asks Walter to play with him. Walter again ignores him. Then Danny begins playing the game alone without reading the rules. When Danny presses the go button, a card appears. It was written on the card to run while trying to get away from here, because a slew of stars is about to rain down on you. While holding the card, Danny walks over to Walter. They didn't understand anything at first and they ignore it. Meanwhile, stars start falling on that room's area. They were running around, trying to get away from the stars. They manages to hide in a small space. Because stars were falling in the area of the room, their sister couldn't know anything. She falls asleep while putting on her headphones. To escape, Walter and Danny open the door of the house. They get shocked after seeing the outer scene. They were in space instead of Earth. They get panicked and come to their sister. They wake up their sister and explain everything to her. However, she notices that it is dark outside. She remembers she has a nighttime meeting with a friend and she ignores her brothers. To make her believe, Walter brings the game and plays his turn, to show his sister that the game really works and it is not a normal game. Nothing happens during Walter's turn. While watching this, their sister suspects that they are doing a prank on her. She goes inside to prepare herself. A card comes out at Walter's turn that was written, "The person on this ship with you will sleep for the next 5 turns." As the card is being dealt, they notice smoke coming from their sister's bathroom. While opening their sister's bathroom, they notice that everything is frozen inside. There is ice everywhere, and their sister has also been frozen. She had the appearance of an ice statue. They go to read the game rules because the situation has deteriorated. The rule of the game was, anyone who starts the game must complete it and these mysterious happenings will not leave them until the game has completely finished. To handle the situation and return things to normal, to make things better for themselves and their sister, they play the game once more. Now, it was Walter's turn. On his turn, a card is drawn with the message "Your robot is defective." Meanwhile, a small robot arrives. They ignore the robot because of its size. They take it easy. Suddenly, the size of the robot increases. It was growing and then it attacks Walter. When Danny approaches the game, the key falls near the robot. Walter obtains the key while successfully escaping. He gives the key to Danny. Danny was performing his turn. Walter was still running away from the robot. When Danny was performing his turn, the robot fell into the basement and it destroys completely. A huge star is reaching your address written on Danny's card. The star appears, but it is not your typical star. Because of the gravity, it begins to attract things like a magnet. Their frozen sister also falls down from the washroom. When everything gets normal, they place their frozen sister away in the washroom again. They believe she can be saved here. They begin playing the game again. But Danny refuses to participate, because he was terrified. Walter was also not being kind to him. Walter leaves enraged, but they must find a way to get out of the game. Walter acts wisely. He asks Danny to play the game while saying sorry. He promises Danny that he will treat him nicely this time. After it, they start the game. This time, it was written on a card, "Zorgans are on their way." They are half human and half lizard-like space creatures. They don't stop playing even they were terrified. After it, there was written "Reprogram" on the card. Walter thinks maybe Zorgan's spaceship will return while showing the card. Walter does this but it doesn't work. The Zorgans attack them with their spaceship. On next card it was written "Help the astronaut." They were trying to understand this. Meanwhile, an astronaut comes there. The astronaut becomes shocked coming there. But when he sees Zorgans have attacked the house, he turns off all the lights in the house. Zorgans are drawn to light, which is why they are attracted to it. After it, they set a sofa on fire and throws it out. The sofa starts flying due to the gravity in space. Zorgan's spaceship chases it and moves far from them. Astronaut uses all of the food in their home because he has been starving for a long time. Walter asks him to move from there because he doesn't like this. The astronaut says he only obeys Danny because he came there because of Danny. Danny doesn't let him go because he thought the astronaut can help them. They can't finish the game alone because they are small kids. Now, those three play the game. Walter sees Danny's button wasn't in its place. Walter suspects it maybe he cheated, because he used to do cheating always. Walter again fixes his button in its place. They starts fighting once more. Both were saying ill to each other. They are quieted by the astronaut. Now it was Walter's turn. Danny cheated, that's why it was written on his card you will get the punishment. Suddenly, a hole was made on the roof and Walter stuck there and Danny was trying to save his brother. The astronaut wears his costume and saves Walter. Their sister comes into her real condition because 5 turns were completed. She turns on the heater. It means the light again turns on. Now it was Walter's turn. A shooting star will pass by his house. As written on his card, you can make a wish while standing in front of it. Walter was already aggressive with Danny. He nearly reached death because Danny cheated. Walter wants to move Danny far from him. The astronaut forbids him to wish anything wrong. Without listening to anything, Walter goes and wishes in front of the shooting star. After it, Danny wasn't found anywhere. The astronaut becomes worried while searching for him. He becomes agitated with Walter. Meanwhile, Danny emerges from beneath the bed, and they discover that Walter has wished something else. The astronaut tells them everything, that I was a small boy like you. At that time I found the game and I also have a younger brother. We brothers also fought like you. While playing the game, I found a chance to make a wish like Walter. I wished for my brother's disappearance without thinking about the outcome. The game also stopped there, and I was imprisoned in space. I got a chance to come back to the Earth because of Danny. When they return to play the game, they see half of the house was disappeared. Actually, the half path was taken by the Zorgans. The problem is that the game was also in that section. It was important to bring Zorgans back. They lit the fire to attract the Zorgans. As a result, they may play their game. Their sister arrived while they were doing this. She becomes worried while seeing him setting the fire. She extinguishes the fire without listening to them. The astronaut has to come in front of her. He reveals himself here. He makes her understand everything. Zorgan's spaceship also arrives, and they are on their way into the house. Zorgans eat the humans, that's why they escape from there. They must travel to Zorgan's spaceship and get back their game. The astronaut travels there and returns immediately. He tells our game is in the basement and Zorgans are in the house. There are many Zorgans, that's why I didn't bring the game. Danny gets the bright idea that he can get there using his attic lift. None can adjust in that small lift except of Danny. Danny moves alone to get the game. The astronaut was sending the lift down with the help of a rope. Meanwhile, Zorgans attack them, forcing him to flee and drop the rope. Danny hardly reaches the basement. Danny notices the game, but when he goes to take it, he discovers it is only a box. He thinks maybe the game is in the spaceship of Zorgans. He goes into Zorgan's spaceship to bring the game. Danny hardly hiding from Zorgans and successfully gets the game. While escaping, he sits in the lift. At the exact time, Walter saves him, but then they get into another trouble. The robot comes from the front. It holds Walter from the neck. The robot was further and Zorgans were behind. How will they escape in this difficult condition? Walter suddenly pulls out the reprogram card from his pocket. The robot's functions begin to change, and it starts attacking the Zorgans. Those brothers come to their sister and the astronaut. After starting the game, Walter again gets a wish. This time he wishes for astronaut that he gets his brother back. When he wishes, a kid comes there. He was looking like Danny. The astronaut says he was Walter who wished to make Danny disappear 15 years ago. After it, both Danny blend into each other. When the astronaut touches Walter, he completely enters in him. If you didn't understand, here let me tell you, the astronaut was actually Walter. It means he wished to vanish his brother. Now this game comes in present. They want 10 marks to finish the game, but they only got 1 mark at Danny's turn. Then it was written on their card, "You have played nicely, so you are given 9 more marks." Those siblings become happy, the button suddenly moves, and a massive black hole appears in front of their house. It starts pulling everything inside it. Their sister also drags in it. In the last, Walter and Danny also move into it. When Danny wakes up, he finds himself back at home. They become happy and tells the story to their father on his arrival. Their father was baffled by what they were saying. They decide they will not tell anyone about this. Following that, they live together with love. They play together nicely. They were on their way to meet their mother. Suddenly their sister intervened. She says, "Please do not tell anyone about this adventure. They'll think you're a moron." This is the end of the film. I hope that you liked the video. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.